the miracle that is in all four Gospels. And I think in general, he's asking that question because this was a situation of impossibility. There was no way they would have that ministry, Jesus and his disciples, his 12 disciples, or however many he had at that point in time, would have enough finances to purchase food for 5,000 men plus women and children besides. And so I think he was, as you all said, testing the limits of Philip's faith. Did
Mm-hmm.
he understand that there wasn't anything too hard for him to do? That just like sometimes he tests our faith, that that's why sometimes he puts us into impossible situations and waits for us to come up with a plan. What are we going to do? Are we going to turn to him, trust in him, or are we going to give up, to whine, to complain? I think clearly this was an impossible situation. No way they would have enough money to buy bread to feed. Where are you getting money to buy bread to feed 5,000 people? Well, probably 10 or more thousand people when you count the women and children. And so, faced with an impossible situation, what would Philip do?
The next question, which this leads into this next question, you're talking about testing and about how the Lord was using this opportunity to test the disciples. So this is more of a personal question. How have you been tested by God? Anybody would like to share a situation in which you've been tested by God?
I suppose probably I was tested when I lost my job, but he warned me ahead of time because I can remember I was sick a lot and I was going to the hospital and stuff. I don't know. I think he just prepared me for it because I wasn't totally shocked. And then one day I went to the church and I knelt down at the altar and I asked him, so what now? And I specifically heard, get ready and wait. So I did. I got ready, start packing up all my stuff or sorting it out so my brother could have some of it. And so I guess he tested me in a way, but it didn't feel like a test because I knew he was there the whole time.
I think we tested every day in terms of God's provision, unless you have a ton of money in the bank, unless you have perfect health, a ton of money in the bank, you have plans laid out for every minute, every second, every day, week, month, year of your life. I think we tested, just the faith to trust God that, Lord, we are not absolutely sure what's going to happen next week, next month, next year. But I know that God is in charge of what will happen, and he puts we tested like that, it reminds me of the Israelites in the wilderness. He told them, listen, I'm going to send enough manna for one day. Just get enough manna for one day. Don't try to take up enough manna for a week, a month, because we want to be secure. That's what we like. We like to be secure. We want to have enough money in the bank to last us the rest of our lives. We don't want to have to worry about that. And the same with the Israelites. God said one day they went and they picked up enough for a week. They said, we aren't going to be hungry, right? But God didn't allow it because when they picked up too much, it rotted. And so I think in terms of testing, we are tested because, like I said, unless you are a wealthy person, we are tested within the limits of His provision.
I think even if you're wealthy, you get tested.
Well, tests can come in different ways. I'm talking now in terms of provision. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So in terms of provision,
I think even if you have, means to get provision, you can still be tested because when you have too much, there's a saying, more money, more problems, and so more provision, you can have more problems because then you have more people coming to steal your provision. You have to worry, but you have to worry about keeping that provision preserved. If you have too much, if you have more than you have, it's still a problem, if you have an excess, that's one of the reasons why God told them don't keep anything until for the next day, because then you're going to get rotten. So there's always problems, and no matter what type of financial status you have, you're gonna have, to trust God. Whether you have a lot or you have a little, you're still gonna have to trust God. Please check out the rest of this podcast by clicking on the link that appears on your screen. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel to stay updated for more videos.